Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to English Storytime with Mark. I'm Mark. Today we're going to be reading a story called A Call by Grace MacGowan Cooke, a story which was first published in 1906. And it's a story about a practice that used to be common in the old days when a boy or a man liked a woman, he would go calling on her, which is going to her house and I guess asking for a date in modern terms. So let's see how this ends up. A call. Tom had spent the whole morning in front of the mirror, trying to make his hair lie flat. His hands were sweaty and his shirt collar felt too tight. He knew that today was the day. He had promised himself that he would finally call on Alice. Everyone in town knew that Alice was the prettiest girl around, with her bright eyes and quick smile. Tom couldn't help but think about her all the time. He'd imagined this moment 100 times, but now that it was real, his nerves were getting the best of him. His mother watched him fuss with his hair and smiled. "Tom, you've been fixing your hair for an hour. Just go already," she teased, folding laundry by the window. He turned to her embarrassed. "Ma, do you think she'll laugh at me?" His mother shook her head, giving him a reassuring smile. "No, son. You're a good boy, and any girl would be lucky to have you call on her. Just be yourself." Tom nodded and took a deep breath, though it didn't help much. He grabbed his hat from the hook by the door and hesitated. "What if I say something stupid?" "You won't," his mother said firmly. "You've got a good heart, and that's what counts. Just speak from it." Tom managed a small smile and stepped outside. The sun was shining, but he barely noticed it. His thoughts were too busy racing through all the things he wanted to say. As he walked down the dirt road toward Alice's house, he went over his plan again. He'd greet her politely, compliment her flowers, because she loved gardening, and ask if she'd like to go for a walk. It all sounded so simple in his head, but his stomach twisted with nerves. The town was busy as usual. Mr. Jenkins was fixing a wagon wheel outside his shop, and Mrs. Bates was sweeping her porch. They both nodded at Tom as he passed, and he tried to act casual, like he wasn't on his way to the most important meeting of his life. A couple of boys from school waved at him, but he barely acknowledged them, too focused on his mission. When he reached Alice's house, his heart thumped so loudly that he thought it might burst. He hesitated at the gate, staring at the little white cottage with flowers blooming out front. It looked like a dream, and he felt completely out of place. The garden was neat and colorful, with roses climbing up the trellis and bright daisies lining the path. He remembered how Alice had once told him that flowers made everything better, and he couldn't help but smile. Just as he was about to turn back, the door opened and Alice stepped out onto the porch. She saw him right away and smiled, waving cheerfully. "Well, hello there, Tom." His face turned red and he almost tripped over his own feet. Hi, Alice. I thought I'd stop by and say hello." Alice gave a light laugh, her eyes sparkling. "Well, I'm glad you did. I was just about to sit on the porch and have some lemonade. Want to join me?" Tom swallowed hard and nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Alice led him to the porch swing, and they sat side by side. The swing creaked softly as they moved, and Alice poured him a glass of lemonade from the pitcher on the small wooden table. Tom tried to calm his nerves, but his hands shook a little as he took a sip. "So," Alice said with a grin, "what brings you by today?" Tom cleared his throat, trying to sound confident. "Well, I wanted to see you. I was thinking about you, and I thought it would be nice to visit." Alice's cheeks turned a little pink and she looked down at her hands. That's sweet, Tom. Feeling braver now, he continued, You know, Alice, I've been meaning to come by for a while. I just didn't know how to go about it. She looked at him curiously. Why not? You know you're always welcome. Tom rubbed the back of his neck. I guess I was just worried you might think it was silly. A fellow like me coming to call on a girl like you. Alice smiled warmly. Tom, I think it's nice. I don't get many callers, you know. Most boys are too busy showing off to take the time to sit and talk. Tom relaxed a little. Well, I'm not much for showing off. I just wanted to see how you were doing. They talked for a little while about little things, the weather, her garden, and how the flowers were blooming earlier than usual this year. Alice told him how she'd spent the morning planting new seeds, and Tom listened intently, nodding and asking questions. The conversation flowed more easily than he'd expected, and soon they were laughing about old school stories and sharing memories. Alice told him about a stray cat that had been hanging around the house, and Tom promised to help her build a little shelter for it. She seemed grateful, and he felt proud of himself for offering. As the afternoon passed, he found himself forgetting his nerves entirely. When it was time to go, Tom stood up, feeling lighter than he had in weeks. Thanks for the lemonade and the company, he said. Alice stood too, brushing off her skirt. Thanks for coming by, Tom. You should do it more often. He grinned, his confidence growing. Maybe I will. As he walked down the path and back toward home, he couldn't help but feel proud. He had done it. He had called on Alice. And from the way she smiled at him as he left, he had a feeling he'd be doing it again soon. Later that evening, Tom sat at the dinner table with his family, his mind still on Alice's smile and the way her laughter had made his worries disappear. His father glanced at him, raising an eyebrow. You look mighty pleased with yourself, his father said. Tom couldn't hide his grin. Just had a nice visit, that's all. His mother gave him a knowing look. With Alice, was it? Tom nodded, feeling his ears burn. Yeah. His father chuckled. Well, good for you, son. A fine girl, that one. Tom just smiled, too happy to worry about what anyone thought. He knew he'd be calling on Alice again soon, and maybe next time he'd find the courage to tell her how he really felt. The end. Well, isn't that nice? And a story from a more innocent time when boys used to call on girls just to get a glass of lemonade. Things sure have changed. Well, I hope you enjoyed this story and it will inspire you to read this story or any other story. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week until I see you next time. Bye for now, everybody.